Okay, well, we're back, and I'll start the timer. And I have to say, like I said it once, but it's like we're both wearing our prison uniforms right now, which it kind of feels like it at this point, for me in the project. But Adrian, where are you at in your project?
I'm at, I mean, I'm nowhere near being done, but I'm at a good kind of like stopping spot. And that's what I've spent the last kind of 2 weeks getting to is just like a place where I can stop and leave this. And when I come back, I'm not going to look at it and be like, what the hell was I even thinking, you know?
Mm,
Um, so I'm in the new year, I'm going to switch back to the project that I was working on before, and I'm going to finish that up and publish it. And my goal was to have this to a place where after that's done and then I come back to this project, it's like I can just hit the ground and go, and the hard work is done. Now it's just fun, it's just storytelling, it's just kind of like filling in and making it a richer story, and I can get this one done pretty quick too. I don't know that that is what will actually happen, but that is what I've been like working towards.
I saw this post the other day, and it was saying something like when we as artists, when we look at something and we wish that it was better, what we really wish is that we were doing better, like we were capable of doing the work a little bit better or whatever. And so really what we're not accepting the fact that like that that's a different person, like the person that could do better work is not who we are. And so like we wind up disliking the most essential thing about it, is just kind of who we are and where we're at. um but yeah, I hear what you're saying, that like objectively we have to get these projects to a place where we can move to another project and gain some objectivity on it, so we can come back and do the kind of the hard work of editing.
Yeah, and
um,
I like what you said. Like I do have that happen a lot where kind of like the thing that I feel like is really just kind of the thing that's wrecking my project or like is kind of outing me as being a bad writer. That's actually the thing that is like I'm the only one that does that. And is,
mm,
like that's what's unique about me. And I'm hating that thing because it's not like other things.
mm.
Um, I don't think that what I am doing is as wise as what you just said.
No,
What I'm doing,
I
where it came from was I went through this whole phase where I wanted to write faster and publish more, and that was not happening. But I'm working on a pretty like ambitious project where it is going to kind of take time to unfold and become what it is. But then I thought, well, what, like, if I was going to have a fast turnaround, like something that I just wrote fast and published, um, and could still stand behind and felt like was good and not was like a good book and not just content,
mm.
like what would that look like and what aspects of kind of what I usually do would need to scale back? How would I do that? What would it look like for me to like turn a project around really fast?
Mm.
And I wrote it from that place, like this is a fast project. This is a quick thing. Um, yeah, so I think I have it to a pretty good place. I'm going to take a break from it. I'm going to finish up the other thing, and I predict I'm going to come back and have this done quickly, but in kind of being compassionate to myself, like this is the first time I've ever done that
Huh.
with it like in mind. Like I want to write a thing that can be like turned around quickly.
That's interesting. Like I so just in order for us to kind of continue the kind of the A/B testing and the different kind of comparisons of where we're at on these various journeys or whatever, like I had a completed manuscript and and then I was like, I'm gonna do NaNoWriMo and have a book finished, and by the time I finish the book, I'll be objective enough to come back and do the edits that are needed for this completed manuscript. But NaNoWriMo's turned into this whole other thing. And now I really want to finish, like have a completed manuscript for NaNoWriMo before I go back to that other project. And they're very different projects. One of them set after the Civil War, and then the current thing that I'm working on is set in contemporary time in Utah. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're both kind of on similar journeys, maybe just at slightly different phases in the journey or whatever, or attacking it a little bit differently. But there is that similar question of like um how do we have fresh eyes on something? Like how do we continue to maintain productivity, or not productivity, but just being uh
Engagement,
yeah, engagement. Um
like caring about what it is you're doing. Because there is a danger in taking too much of a vacation from that thing, and then you come back to it and you're like, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I don't
yeah, trust
care
me.
anymore. That's
Yeah,
not like, yeah. So that's also not a thing you want to end up in, because I want to stress it's important to finish things. So you don't want to like take a break from something and then like not care about finishing it anymore. That's a bad, that in my experience, that's a bad place to be.
well, and I think that's one of the reasons why we spent so much time talking about the swamp, was like in the back of both of our minds, there's this very real realization that like if you quit in the middle of the swamp, it's possible you won't come back. And you're gonna feel like quitting. You're gonna want to quit. And I do think I'm I don't want to jinx
I
myself
do,
or
if
whatever.
I can just throw a wrinkle in there though, I do
Mhm.
think that sometimes you take a break when you're in the middle of the swamp and come back, and suddenly what was like pulling teeth before is very, very kind of clear and fresh and vigorous to you. You
I
see it
agree.
new,
I
and
agree, but it's
you
because you
can like
keep on
jump.
slogging. I think it's because you keep on slogging. Like, and if you keep on slogging through the swamp, then you will have that epiphany. But like if you just step away, like if you just
That's what I'm
absolutely
saying is I've had that from the stepping away. Like
really,
step away, get some distance, and then come back. And it's almost like you can look at it like somebody else wrote this. And I can be excited about it because I can see what to like do with this thing that somebody else wrote.
wow. I've never experienced that, but that sounds very interesting.
I want you to have that experience. I don't, I mean, maybe, people are different and writers are different. So I don't think that you should do that just because I report it, because I can totally conceive of a person that's just not a thing that's going to happen
Mm,
for them.
right,
But that's
right.
part of the courage that is required to, like, unless you have it all figured out, then there's lots of things to kind of think about and be brave about, like maybe I should do this.
So I do want to talk about one other thing. It's more of a business kind of thing, but I think it's kind of an interesting business thing. We're not quite at the place to where this will be really helpful, because I think over the course of the next year, one of the things I hear us saying, because this is kind of we're not quite at New Year's resolution time, but we're kind of moving that direction. And I'm not really sure where like these talks will go. Like because I mean we've really specifically been talking about like NaNoWriMo 2023, and 2023 is about over. Um, so I don't know. I think I've got questions about like the format. Like, do we want to continue to work, with the format here? Do we want to go to like a podcast? So we can talk about that offline. But one of the things I do want to mention, because I feel like it's a very 2023 thing that we've kind of not really talked very much about, is like Chat GPT. And I don't want to say a lot about it, But you mentioned like just kind of like creating content just for the sake of content, which is pretty much what AI does. And the the thing that I've noticed that like Chat GPT is actually really helpful for with some of the books that I already have out there is doing the book descriptions. So I want to encourage you to like look into that, like for the books that you have like written, because one of the things you can do is you can actually copy the book description into Chat GPT and just and be like, rewrite this book description to be 350 words and target this or target that. You can use it for generating your ad content too. Um, and I think AI is going to continue to kind of like shape the way some of these, the way a lot of sales works in terms of the algorithm on Amazon and stuff like that. So that's the one thing from 2023 we haven't really talked about, but I just want to put it out there that for your current like book sales, for your current ad copy, your book descriptions, I would encourage us both to start playing with Chat GPT for that stuff. Um,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to using it for that.
yeah.
The thing that makes me nervous about it is it like because the whole point of writing a book is just to create content and then monetize it, easy to just like let Chat GPT do that for me. But then it's like, what am I like? Where is the meaningfulness of what I'm doing? I've basically outsourced that for the hope of making more money, you know?
Yeah, and I mean the my experience playing around with Chat GPT is that I don't think it can write good books because of the kinds of
Yeah,
governors
but
that are
that is
placed
the
on it.
problem, is most human beings can't either.
Yeah.
There's not that big of a difference.
Yeah. But I mean, I
Chat
just
GPT can create content just as well as you can.
mm, but it's more like for example, Chat GPT won't let you kill anyone. So like
Mm.
that limits a lot of the kinds of books that you could write. Chat GPT, there's a lot of like controversial subjects that Chat GPT just isn't going to touch. And so I think it's actually
But is it
I
because they are like pretty taboo subjects? Like, would you want to touch them?
it's because of I think it's because of the whole basilisk problem. You know, the idea that like if it if there was an evil AI after the singularity that's like gonna create an evil AI in the singularity, that it would want to feed itself information about the evil AI in the singularity. And so I genuinely think that there's some programmers who are kind of
And it would want to encourage you to do things that facilitate that and discourage you from doing things that do not facilitate that. I
yeah.
can't remember. Um, it's like somebody's basilisk. The guy that came up with the
Royo's basilisk. Royo or something. I think it's Royo or something like Royo.
yeah. Yeah,
RYO.
I'm familiar with it. I know what you're
I mean,
talking
it's
about.
also, I think it's also they're trying like after the fact to apply Asimov's rules of AI, you know, like
Oh,
his command.
I have a good thing about that, but I don't know that this is the right kind of place to talk about it. But remind me in another conversation that I have a thing about Asimov's like rules of science fiction writing.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, I want to get to Asimov, but specifically like just the rules of what artificial and what robots should be allowed to do and not allowed to do. And like the very first one is robots should not be allowed to kill a human being. And and we've already broke that
Which
rule.
means
So
they shouldn't even be allowed to like think about
yeah.
it, I guess. Like,
Basically if you're gonna because all they do is they're statistic machines, so you just shouldn't feed them that data set. So like if you're adding if you're
yeah,
asking
but
Chat
they
GPT,
have access to the entire internet, right? It's not really like people are feeding them stuff. It's that like they get to like crawl the web and find whatever's out there.
I don't know. They can again they can put governors on them.
Yeah, and I bet that is a governor. That's not a like thing that the program can't do. It's a thing that it like stops itself from doing.
I think that's likely. But I think it's one of the reasons why they're not going to write good books, is because they have these governors on them and people don't.
Well, yeah, but the thing that I want to say about that is that like you're thinking about it in terms of it just being this like rational problem. Like a good book is just kind of like a set of problems that can be solved by a computer. And I don't think about it that way at all. I think like the first kind of no good book is going to be written by something not human.
Hmm. I I just think about that there's different types of consciousness. Like I think if dolphins could express themselves in some form of language that was intelligible to me, if they did tell stories, then the way that they tell stories, or if octopuses told stories, the way that they told stories would be different than the way that I tell stories. And
Yeah,
the same is true
yeah,
with an
I'm
artificial
not I'm
intelligence.
not disputing that. What I'm saying is the dolphins would kind of like understand that this is really good and humans would not get it
Yeah,
because they're dolphins, not human.
right.
What we think is good, like what resonates with a human being needs to be created by a human being. I don't
Yeah,
think an AI is going to like I mean this is the whole point of like Blade Runner. Like at what point is something that is designed human, you know? It's a it's a problem to kind of think about and now we kind of have to think about it.
right. And I I think it has a really limited, I want to be a little circumspect about it because I think it has a very limited application for us right now because we're both genuinely trying to create books as human beings. But I do think on the business end of writing, which I never want to kind of quite lose my track on, um, ChatGPT has helpful applications for book descriptions and ad content and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that would be good.
yeah. So it's something we'll be, I think in future episodes we'll start to look more at the business end of things. I feel like we've spent a lot of time so far in this show. One of the things think that's helpful about it being a video or a YouTube show is the ability to screen share and things like that. But I think we'll get more into, like in 2024, one of the things I'd like to look at is more just like on the page how editing works, how copy editing works, how developmental editing works, what's good developmental editing and bad developmental editing, how to know like when you've been had on Fiverr, like but then also looking at ad content, looking at setting up KDP stuff, more the business kind of stuff, which is important. I don't want it to dominate the conversation on the front end, but there's a time and a place for it, for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I think those are all worthy things to spend an hour talking about.
Yeah. Well, man, I don't know if we'll be back here before the New Year's. I can be back on Tuesday, so we'll connect then. But regardless, man, enjoy the rest of 2023 and Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you and your family. Hope things are going good.
Yeah, we'll see ya.
Yeah.
Bye.